We're taught that freedom has a specific look: a border on a map, an independent government, and a national flag. As long as that flag is flying, we are told the system is working. But what happens when the wind stops? Behind the symbols, a different reality takes hold. Ordinary people find themselves crushed by economic pressures they cannot control. Inflation erodes their savings, and unemployment limits their future, turning daily survival into a full-time occupation. Naturally, people begin to ask why. They look for the source of the injustice. They question how the wealth is being managed. But as those questions reach the halls of power, the response changes. A peaceful inquiry into a paycheck or a policy is reclassified as subversion. It is treated as a threat to public order until a simple request for accountability is handled like an act of rebellion. This constant friction eventually wears the public down. We stop asking. We fall into a state of quiet acceptance, viewing the loss of our voice and the erosion of our rights as a normal part of modern life. This diagram shows the structural reality of that silence. The visible markers of the nation remain, the solid architectural shell of the facade. But inside, the core of actual civil rights is shrinking, while the substance of liberty is quietly captured by the powerful. Power no longer requires physical walls to keep a population in check. It relies on invisible chains, mechanisms designed to protect the interests of those with money and authority without the optics of a traditional prison. The first mechanism is mass surveillance. Every movement is watched, every meeting is logged, and every word is monitored. When you know you are tracked, you second-guess your thoughts, staying silent because the system records your dissent before you speak. If self-censorship fails, the system shifts to physical intervention. But when ordinary people organize peaceful rallies to demand their basic rights, they are met with overwhelming state violence. The simple act of standing in a public square results in police cordons and prison cells. When the threat of jail and violence precedes the demand for justice, the concept of freedom has effectively vanished. The system has become a controlled suppression grid. Occasionally, the grid fails. A leader emerges from the populace who refuses to be silenced, someone who speaks directly for the people and against the machinery of oppression. The system's defense is a suppression loop. When a leader emerges, systemic defamation begins, destroying their credibility. If influence persists, they are imprisoned. This severs their connection to the public. Fractured, the people return to the baseline, proving resistance is entirely futile. Real liberty looks like the inverse of our current system. On these scales, the government is the side that lives in fear of the people. In this model, the police exist to protect the citizens, not to act as the enforcers of the state. Transitioning to this reality requires a mental shift. We have to stop treating freedom like a gift or a charity that the government grants to us when it feels generous. Freedom is a heavy responsibility. It requires the labor of staying informed, the risk of standing with your neighbors when the system tries to isolate you, and the persistence to keep demanding justice even when it is denied. The baseline condition for this to work is the unhindered right to speak the truth. Justice must be identical for the billionaire and the laborer, with no threat of retaliation for those who point out when the system is failing. Expressing an opinion and questioning the powerful must be structurally accepted as an inherent right. If those actions are treated as crimes, the system is no longer a democracy. Until we decide to shoulder the responsibility of these rights and stand together to demand them, the liberty that we think we have will remain exactly what it is today, a perfectly engineered illusion.